You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you care to tell me a little bit about your internship, Zach?
So in this internship, um, our task was to begin development on a website for the CALPS organization on campus at Berea College. So, and the whole idea behind this is because CALPS was using spreadsheets and Excel for manipulating the data. And eventually we decided, let's make a website that allows them to perform all these operations just with a website. Um, so in this internship, we basically created the whole website, the front end and the back end. So this involves the HTML, CSS, JavaScript up top, and then Jinja as the template engine um, from the Flask micro framework. And that on the back end, it uses Python and the Kiwi ORM basically to modify uh, the queries and basically just access the database that Celts uses for their um, organizational events and their courses, things of that nature. So that's what we did at our internship. It was 9 weeks, and I was a part of the summer student development team at Berea, just doing general full stack work, full stack web development.
Awesome. Do you care to describe your most important technical thing that you learned?
So the most important technical thing, personally, is probably just how the front end connects to the back end. So, and focusing more so on the back end. So as I said earlier, we use the Peewee ORM. Basically, it's sort of is modeled after SQL or just general SQL concepts. And so the most important technical thing is definitely um, learning how to just query the database. Starting with the controller, how the whole process works there, how it goes down towards, as you can see on the file directories on this presentation here, how it goes to the logic folder, and this logic folder takes the information from the controller and either gets or posts things, updates to the database, retrieves, sends it back to the controller where it can now render the HTML file with any necessary Jinja, bringing you to the view and finally back to the user. So just that whole aspect overall is definitely the most important technical thing, just the back end going to the front end.
Sweet. So on the flip side of that, what was the most important non-technical thing you learned?
The most important non-technical thing is probably somewhere along the lines of just taking breaks. And the reason for this is at the SSDT, we would always take 10-minute breaks after every hour. So my first couple weeks at the SSDT, I sort of strayed away from this, and I would be doing constant 2 or 3 hours. Oftentimes, it was just me taking the lunch break, and then that would be the only break that I would have that whole shift. So, and that was a terrible idea personally because I would get through hour one, I'd write fine code, then I would hit hour two and hour three, and at that point, my code would start to suffer. I'm juggling all of these different concepts, creating a website, and eventually, just my mind would start to go, slow down, and I'd be writing the same code just maybe 2 or 3 times as long. It would take me longer. So, and I wouldn't consider that a technical thing for sure. So it being a non-technical thing, definitely taking breaks and making sure your mind stays fresh, getting up, walking around, things such as that nature.
Yeah, for sure. And can you explain exactly what you're most proud of since you took this internship?
I personally think I'm most proud of just command line operations, both through Git and the Linux terminal. So, and I didn't know this until working through it, working all of our applications was that we were using an Ubuntu server, and we SSH'd into it, and we're essentially just given the command line to work with. So things such as, free words like source, dot slash, things like that, cd, change directory. All of this I was entirely unaware of. I had a lot of knowledge over HTML, CSS, JavaScript, things like that. In Python, obviously, CSV 226, 236, that prepared me, but not so much until this internship did I work with anything along the command line. So that's definitely something I'm most proud of, that I can kind of traverse the our systems and file systems practically fluidly at this point, to the point where I'm reflecting back on early in my internship, I really was struggling with that and didn't have any experience whatsoever in that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've got one last question for you. Why did you choose this internship specifically?
I chose this internship because after reflecting on my options, this was definitely the most ideal choice for me to make. I have really been captivated, I guess, by just overall creating a website, web development, not just the front end, but also the back end too. I definitely like front end. I'm familiar with Bootstrap and HTML, CSS, but definitely I chose this because it also included all aspects of web development. In the future, in my future career, maybe I want to work in the back end, maybe I want to work in the front end. This just keeps my options open. Um, and I certainly learned a lot. I learned how to communicate with my coworkers. They're great coworkers, people to work with. And overall, I'm genuinely impressed and glad that I went this route as opposed to others.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Zach.